Welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping straight into a seriously intense, truly agonizing excerpt from the ancient Mahabharata today. We're going to break down the profound cultural logic behind a literal, and I mean literal, life or death decision. We're looking at a scene where a family is forced to make the kind of choice that, well, no family should ever have to make.
So, we're dropping right into the middle of this nightmare scenario. A daughter is actively, desperately begging her weeping parents to offer her up as a sacrifice to a man-eating Rakshasa. She tells them, "Sure to abandon me once, oh abandon me now." She is pleading with them to let her die. It's a completely jarring, visceral statement. I mean, why on earth would a child plead for her own demise just to save her family? Let's unpack the incredibly airtight logic she uses to convince them.
Section 1. The family's impossible choice and the sheer weight of sacrifice.
Okay, let's set the scene. The threat here is absolute. A Rakshasa, which is this fearsome human-eating being, demands a life. The mother, the father, and the daughter are weeping together, totally paralyzed by the choice of who has to face this monster. The father can't bear to send his wife or kids, the wife can't bear to send her husband. And out of this profound, crushing grief, the daughter steps forward. And she delivers this incredibly grim, yet highly structured and logical argument for why it absolutely, positively must be her.
Moving into Section 2, the duty of a daughter, and translating that ancient logic.
The text presents a very specific ancient patriarchal worldview here, and what's fascinating is how the daughter uses this exact framework to build her case. On one side, the text describes the son as one's own self and the wife as one's friend. But look at how the daughter describes herself. She calls herself the source of trouble. You see, in her society, a daughter is destined to eventually leave the family anyway, through marriage. She's going to be, in her own words, abandoned to another household. So her argument is that since her departure is inevitable anyway, she is the most logical sacrifice. Why lose a son or a wife when the daughter is meant to leave regardless?
Which brings us to Section 3, the role of the son, and the massive spiritual stakes involved.
The daughter brings up this concept of the putra. Now, a putra translates directly as a rescuer. In this ancient belief system, a son isn't just, a kid who carries on the family name on earth. He is literally a rescuer who secures his parents' salvation across both the living world and the afterlife. Without a son, the spiritual future of the entire family is in absolute jeopardy.
And this brilliantly illustrates the horrific alternative if the father were to sacrifice himself instead. The daughter outlines what is essentially a spiritual domino effect. Step 1. If the father goes to the Rakshasa and dies, he leaves behind an unprotected family. Step 2. The infant brother, being just a tiny kid, will undoubtedly perish without his father's protection. Step 3. Because both the father and the son are gone, the offering of the funeral cake to the Pitris, the ancestors, is suspended entirely. And Step 4. The ancestors themselves are greatly injured because they're cut off from their offerings. It's total spiritual ruin. We aren't just talking about one life lost to a monster, we're talking about the destruction of an entire ancestral line.
Plus, look at what happens to the daughter if she is somehow spared while her father dies. For her, surviving isn't salvation, not at all. She predicts her mother simply won't survive the grief of losing her husband and son. Left entirely helpless, destitute, and without a male protector in her society, the daughter says she'll be forced to wander and beg for food from strangers, treated, as she puts it, like a dog. She'll just be plunged deeper and deeper into woe. Surviving the monster, to her, only means a slower, far more agonizing demise.
So her crucial point is summarized beautifully right here. It is therefore that I am resolved to rescue my father's race. By stepping into the jaws of the Rakshasa, she completely flips the script. She transforms her inevitable departure from a societal obligation into this act of supreme virtue. By dying, she protects her infant brother, who will grow up to offer those funeral cakes. She rescues her father's race, secures her own place in the heavens, and turns a totally tragic fate into a triumph of duty. It is a stunning, airtight argument born completely out of sheer desperation.
Section 4. A child's innocent defiance and a sudden breaking of the tension.
Just as the family's lamentations reach their absolute peak, imagine the scene. The mother, father, and daughter are just weeping inconsolably over this impending doom. They are suddenly interrupted by this breathtaking tonal shift. The infant brother, the very little kid the daughter is trying to save, toddles over. But his eyes aren't filled with fear. The text actually tells us his eyes dilate with delight. He reaches down and takes up a simple blade of grass.
And he sweetly lisps these words. "With this will I slay the Rakshasa who eateth human beings." It's just such a brilliantly human moment, right?
In the face of a terrifying, man-eating monster, this tiny toddler brandishes a blade of grass like it's a mighty sword. And the text notes that, even though they were quite literally drowning in sorrow, hearing the child speak so sweetly brought actual joy and smiles to the faces of this doomed family. It's this tiny, piercing ray of light in total darkness.
And that leads us to Section 5, the arrival of hope and an unexpected rescue. That tiny moment of joy creates the perfect opening for the text's dramatic turn. Watching all of this unfold from the sidelines is a woman named Kunti. The text specifically notes that Kunti thinks this is the proper opportunity. She steps right into this emotional whiplash, right between the family's devastating tears and the toddler's brave little smile, and she seizes the moment to offer a completely unexpected intervention. Now, we don't get to hear Kunti's exact plan in this specific excerpt, but her impact? It's immediate and absolute. Her words revive them as nectar reviveth a person that is dead. A family that was literally just arguing over who got to die is instantly brought back to life by what Kunti tells them. The despair is completely shattered.
Which leaves us with a truly fascinating cliffhanger. We've seen the flawless, devastating logic of the daughter's sacrifice and the innocent bravery of the son, but what could Kunti possibly have said to pull this family back from the brink? What on earth was Kunti's plan to outsmart a man-eating monster and resolve this impossible dilemma? It's a brilliant piece of storytelling that leaves you absolutely desperate to turn the page and find out. Thanks for joining me on today's Explainer, and remember to keep questioning the texts that shape our world.